you know, from the quality, the clarity, the dam, the spillway, the integrity of, all of that. It's our number one physical asset. I think our people are our best asset, but it's our number one physical asset, and we're gonna do everything we can to take care of it and monitor it. And then 6 is the overall security strategy. It's evolving. Laws have evolved, laws on the lake, you know, all the feedback that we got last month at the meeting. We're going to take that back and look at our overall security strategy and see, and the training aspect, and look at what can we do to make boating safer on the lake, what can we do to make people slow down around the tight curves in Candlewood and all that. But so we'll be looking at security overall on the strategy. A more structured maintenance plan, a huge focus on culverts. I know I talked about that. It's not an exciting topic, culverts, but it's an important one for Candlewood. And we really want to examine the budget and the staffing as you compare it to our infrastructure. You know, I think it's 1,500 acres we have, and we have the same maintenance staff as Lake Cable up in Akron and Canton. And Bill and I went to the Ohio Lake Association meeting up there. We walked around their premises in like 10 minutes. And they've got a staff that's roughly the same as our maintenance staff. So we got to look at that. Our maintenance staff is stretched with 1,500 acres and all the buildings that we have and everything. And that's just something we need to look at as an association together. Because I heard it last month. You want more things done, you want them done better, more timely. And it's tough. We can prioritize better and all that, but at the end of the day, we got to look and see if our staffing and resources match our infrastructure. So we'll do that. That's about that on strategic priorities. I just want you to know what we're thinking, what we're focused on, and you'll hear more going forward as part of that whole communication effort. Unit 4 Ad Hoc Committee, I already talked about up here. The last thing I want to mention is something Doug and I already talked about, and we've already committed to it, is we're going to do a member satisfaction survey utilizing technology, the Survey Monkey, and Doug and I are going to work on that with input from others, but what we're considering it is as a baseline. You know, we haven't done one in a while, and it may not be that long, but what I want to do is encourage all of you, when you see it come out, apply for it, jump on there, complete it. That's going to be our baseline in terms of holding ourselves accountable on how we serve our members. And then once we have that baseline, we have something to compare to. So at the end of the year, or 8 months from now, or 12 months from now, whatever it is, we do it again and we see what kind of progress we made. So that's accountability, and that's what we're going to do. I mentioned this at the last meeting, but it's really keeping with that culture that I talked about last month, about if something's important, you have to have goals, you got to measure them, and then you got to report on your progress. Nothing happens. If something's important, you just let it lie, and nobody knows what's going on. It just falls apart at the seams. But if it's really important, we're going to set that goal, we're going to create the measures to know whether we're winning or not, then we're going to report on how we're doing. I think that's just vitally important. So anyway, I'll be quiet now and turn it over to Tim Remy with his general manager report. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Obviously, the Cape, Charlie, thank you very much. And I want to thank each and every person here for obviously the time I've been here. It's been incredible. It's been a quick 4 years. And the staff, I want to recognize the staff more than anything else. Nate, if you could stand up. Nate, Ben, if you come out. Stand up. Who else am I missing? Any other employees here? I mean, obviously, when you look at what we've accomplished in the last 4 years, it wouldn't have happened without the team effort, the team building that has taken place in the last 4 years. I mean, when you look at what Nate has with Ronnie and Brent, we got Larry, we got Richard now, so we got a staff of 5 folks in maintenance. When you look at what Ben's accomplished in the short time he's been here with a full-time crew of, we've got Ben and Melissa, and a total of 6 folks. We got Gary, we got Levon, Nathan, and I mean, in what we've done with the training in the short time, Ben has said we're going to train and educate our people. when you look at the office with Leslie and her leadership, she's truly, I can tell you, in the last 6 months, has truly exceeded expectations when we think about where we were at in January to where we're at right now. With Kelly, we moved Renee up to the front office. Nothing but positive feedback with the folks that's been working in the office. And again, when you look at where we're at totally, there's a lot to do. But I can tell you, and I appreciate your comments, Greg, on where we were at and where we've come from. And then certainly not to leave out where we're at with Brian and his leadership with the inspector role, and then certainly Tracy stepped into Ollie's position, as you know. And Tracy and Mike, I don't think missed a beat. If they have, I haven't heard about it. I can tell you I've heard nothing but positive things from the time Tracy's taken over with utilities. And again, with Nate building the team between the maintenance folks and utilities. So a lot of positive things going, but I agree with what Greg is alluding to, that there has to be that constant follow-up execution. I'm a believer you plan, you execute, and then you follow up on it. It's the same thing we're saying. You have to make sure you're reporting to those specific items. But, you know, I've always heard that the best time to retire, if you're thinking about it, is before your boss does, right? So it's always good to know and I tell you, the 4 years I've been here, that was kind of my goal from the beginning. It was 4 years with a 1 year, 3 year contract. It's hard to believe I'm at the end of that 3 year contract, but absolutely, with some opportunities with organic beef and hay is what our family is planning to get back into is what I'm looking forward to. And I can't thank each and every one of you enough for your leadership in committees and the different work groups we've had, all the board members, certainly Dan and Bob. Lori has been a huge part of the beginning board when I started, and certainly everybody, thank you very much for all that. So you weren't supposed to do any cake though, Greg.
Blame Charlie.
Charlie, thank you again, Charlie. I appreciate it. So one of the talked about in the last meeting was really looking at where we're at with sales. So when you think about where our shortfall was, the biggest shortfall when you think about it was our sales. So if you look at where we're at in the next 30 days, we talked about how much we had in the funnel last month, and really the funnel's stronger than this moving ahead. I got to tell you, Connie has done a tremendous job. Thank you for working through a lot of different processes with Leslie. And you can see where we're at right now when we've got 2 sets of double lots in Unit 6 for $21,000. We've got 2 contiguous lot owners for $6,750. Another 2 lots contiguous lot owner for $6,000. So within the next 30 days, we're looking at a total of $33,750. So again, thank you for your leadership, Connie. Next slide, Ben. So again, collections, we're well over 24,000 on collections. Judgments won, we've won 5,900 each for 29,400. Lots taken back at a value of 18,000. And we are going to communicate tomorrow county auditor sale. We're going to list those lots that were not sold, so members in the community can see what's available with that listing. Next slide. So a lot of conversation with the website, updated with the board and committee minutes again, and we plan to have it on the website for 6 months. Updated ECC permits are there, August calendar and upcoming events are added, and we're working with the website host to organize in a more member-friendly way within 30 days. So we're going to continue to upgrade the website. Next slide. One of the things we've been talking about is car registration. Again, that is being handled at the front gate. There is a form available on the website, at the association office, or at the front gate. And again, the deadline, we moved from June 31st back to September 1st with COVID. And obviously September 1st is fast approaching. So any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And we'll get your questions answered with the car registrations through the office. And I want to take a minute and talk through the abandoned and written off properties. That's been another topic of conversation. When you look at where we're at, we've identified and put on a map. We've got pictures of these abandoned properties, and whether they're current on assessments or whether they're written off lots, we prioritize them by the cost, the ability to serve, the ability to sell, and special situations like bankruptcy. We prepared to file an HOA liens. We've got the motion to move ahead with those HOA liens. As part of the process tonight with the motion. We sent out a 30-day notice of intent of foreclosure by certified mail and with proof of mailing. We've ordered a pre-foreclosure title work. We've used a PI to assist with addresses and or next of kin. We've prepared and filed complaint with the court. Plans to go through the court litigation, and the outcome is deed in lieu of foreclosure, sheriff's sale. And again, we're looking at from filing an average of 12 months on these. But we do have the approval, again, hopefully with the motion tonight. And we've got 10 properties. We've got a minimum of 10 properties right now. There's a total of 7 in Unit 4 and 3 in Unit 5 and 6. And there's certainly another 10 we've got earmarked to continue to move through the process. All right, Ben. I think that's it. Charlie, I think this one's yours. Thank you.
Charlie, if I could just say one thing first on this, before you jump in, is that what we talked about previously in the Finance Committee, I know Charlie embraces it as well, is that our bylaws do talk to us about delivering financials monthly, which we put on the website. But what we're looking at doing is doing a deeper dive on a quarterly basis. So that would be, I think it's, or July year-to-date would be our next quarterly deep dive. But we're still going to talk about the monthly results, but the deeper dive is going to be on a quarterly basis going forward. So turn it over to you.
Is that? Yeah. Oh, that is working. Oh, goody. Okay. This is a balance sheet, and I know we look at this every month, but I wanted to share with you what a great job that Lyle Rodebeck, the financial consultant that we have, Tim Remy and Leslie Gorgon have done in changing that current ratio, which is at the bottom. And you see in the 2019 column, we're at 1.2 and now at 1.9. And just to let you know what that means, that's current assets divided by current liabilities. So it's the amount, the assets are the amount of money that we expect to be, that we have available to use to pay bills and things during the next 12 months. And the current liabilities are things that we expect we will have to pay in the next 12 months. So if you look at last year, let's say for $1,000 worth of, you know, if we had $1,000 worth of bills sitting in our desk, we only had $1,200 with which to pay those bills. And on the surface, that's great. I mean, that's enough to pay the bills. But if you then have a few things come up, it doesn't give you much of a cushion. And ideally, you want to be between 1.5 and 2.0. So the fact that we now are at almost, we're at 1.9, which is that we almost have twice as many. So for each $1,000 that we owe, we have $1,900, which we could call upon to pay those debts. And that's really great. These guys did a super job, and we're really in a very strong position. So I just want to reassure you on that. And if you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, now this is the income statement, and I know it's so easy just to look at the variances, and we've all seen that our revenues are down 10%, and part of that's from the lack of sales, and you see that our variance right now is 74,000, and 33,000 is coming in the next 30 days, so yay, next month shouldn't look as bad. But the office has done a great job of reducing our expenses because they anticipated, I mean, they could see that our revenues weren't what we hoped they would be, and they've really tightened up expenses with not necessarily replacing all the personnel that have left, but you know, just keeping everything tight. So even though the revenues are down, the expenses are down, and we're really, we're in good shape, as you can see from the current ratio. That actually tells us more, I think, than the income statement. Okie dokie. Then the next one is our reserve capital fund balance. And you can see that our non-operating funds net income is up $121,000 this year. and that is wonderful, and that is in large part, this is all the things we have for capital spending, the improvements, like when they redid the floor in the lodge, or the roofs on the lodge, that kind of big thing. And these are the things that we want to build up so that none of us face a special assessment at some point. So this is great. So we're in good shape financially, and there you have it. Oh, and I should mention that through the first 4 months of this year, we did spend $104,000. That's what that 2020 reserve is, second to bottom line. That is what has been spent so far on capital items for the association. Okay, any questions from the board? Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll go to standing committee reports, and first one is Finance Committee, so Charlie, you're back on it.
We had our first Finance Committee meeting last Monday, a week ago today, and I unfortunately have to report that we are going to, normally within a week after the committee meets, you have the minutes of the meeting posted on the website. And as far as the board meeting is concerned, Finance Committee is probably always going to be 1 month time in terms of filing for the board meeting, because since we meet 1 week before the board meeting, we don't have a chance to get the minutes out to our members, get them back with any corrections, that kind of things, and still get them posted before the board meeting. So I apologize for that. We had a great meeting, and if any of you would like to come in the future, we would welcome your participation. You can see up there that our next meeting is August 17th. We have really been, we plan to focus on things like financial policies, procedures, and best practices, and these are all understood, but not necessarily all in writing. And so that's going to be one of the things that we'll be working, well, the office will actually be doing it, but with our encouragement, this is something we will be encouraging and requesting them to do so that it's right there. And one of the things that we have, and then the communication you can see with the website presence and the Chronicle and whatnot, but one of the things, I want to recognize Molly Bellhauser, who was on the committee, and I had, we keep talking about transparency, what our transparency, blah, 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 so I asked her to define transparency as far as the financial committee went, like what can we do to be more transparent to all of you? And so these are the kinds of things that you will see us posting on the board. The monthly financial statement, that's always supposed to be there per our bylaws, and the monthly financial statement, not just the, we're supposed to have things to hand out with this thing. We will in the future. Okay, but on the website, we'll get the monthly financial statements done, the 3 years prior audit reports on the website, and the 3 years prior IRS Form 990. Those are things that you should have access to regularly, and we're good. So thank you, Molly, for putting these down. The other things on my list are all more like, don't forget to do this and that. So we're in good shape, and thank you. So, and come to the next meeting if you'd like.
Next slide. Before we go to ECC, Lori, is there anything on bylaws that you had that you want to jump on?
Our first meeting is going to be Thursday, August the 13th at 6:30.
Thank you.
Yes, at the lodge.
Okay. So ECC committee is Ron here? Yes. I think you might have to turn that mic on up there.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, as we reported last month, we had some established goals for ECC, and as a consequence, we've got some volunteers to champion those goals. The tree policy development, Jerry Rule is going to be heading that with help from Cindy Petty from Long Range. I expect this to be a contentious issue. Everybody loves the trees and nobody loves to see them cut down. But I would appreciate it for those who have strong feelings on this, that they voice those feelings to Jerry or myself or Sandy before we get to the end. That way we can try and incorporate as many objections as possible, and we don't have to fight about this at the end of this process. The other two goals we had were improving the inspection compliance process. Darrell has agreed to champion that, and consolidating goals and policies into one document that we can train against and refer to instead of peeling through three or four different manuals. George Gerken is going to champion that. We approved a yard sign to be used to display approved permits. That the permit will be issued along with this yard sign, and it's expected that would be put in the front yard so that we can eliminate the feedback that the office gets is so-and-so is doing an improvement, do they have a permit? Yes, they have a permit, it'll be in the front yard. Based on last month's member participation, we went through Unit 4 and identified 11 properties that showed signs of neglect or abandonment, and we're currently researching those 11 properties to find out what's what and appropriate action will be taken once we determine that. We've had a number of questions about setbacks. Setbacks are required all the way around the property. There are different setbacks depending on where on the property. Those setbacks are not measured from the road. They are measured from the property line. The property line is a straight line from the corners marked by the pins. There's a lot of apparently confusion about that. The different distance from the road to the property line varies depending on how the road is cut. But the property lines are always the same. So setbacks go from property lines. Compliance activity since the last meeting. You can see. Okay. Do we have another one? Next slide. Okay. We had 13 permits approved, and I won't go through what all the different permits are, but there were 13 permits approved since the last meeting, and we have 3 homes under construction, 3 room additions, and 2 garages under construction. Oh, there we are. Good. Thank you. In terms of compliance violations, do we have another one? There we go. That is a summary by unit. For example, in Unit 1, there was 1 violation. All of these violations have been handled verbally. We did not issue any letters during the month. Brian went to the member and explained what the violation was, and they agreed to take care of it promptly. If that doesn't happen, then there will be a letter issue. But our emphasis is to make first contact verbally. We've got some bank-owned properties that are finally being mowed and cleaned up. Took a little pressure on our part to get that done, but it would appear that they gotten the message. We're also trying to develop a neighbor helping neighbor list for members who need help with compliance issues. And this is kind of very similar to an effort that was made last winter for a list of people who were willing to help other people with issues around the home. That is, we've got some people, elderly people who can't mow their lawn, for example. So if we can develop a list of people who are willing to step up and help them, that will, I think, make everybody feel good and create a lot of, or reduce a lot of turbulence in the compliance process. Our next meeting is August 4th at the Harmon Lodge at 6:30.
Thank you, Ron, for everything you're doing with ECC. Really appreciate it. All right. Before we do long-range planning, is there anything from Jonathan or Ned on Lake and Silt? Anything you guys want to report?
Yeah, so our first meeting is August 3rd at 6:30, and that'll also be on the watch.
Thank you. All right. Long-range planning, is John, are you up?
Okay, so our thing that we are looking at doing right now is we are establishing.
Might have to hold it a little closer.
Okay. We are establishing crossroads between other groups, committees, is what we're searching for right now. The big thing we are working on is a rustic campground, and what's going on with that, the thing that we hear the most is the financial side. So we are really working on establishing numbers with Tom and Nate Wilson at this time. Bob Meekins is continuing working on the reserve study, and also with the ad hoc work group that we have for Unit 4 at this time. And our next meeting is August 10th at 6:30.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. I think security is next. Will Brett.
Thanks, Rick. So, last month when we were here, we heard it loud and clear about the lake patrol, the road patrol, and we're trying to set up some plans, and that's what we're going to do. It's going to take a little bit of time. We're going to continue to work on this. Got a new supervisor now. We introduced him last month, and I think between the committee, the security team, the general manager, we're going to start implementing different plans, and the big thing that we're going to try to implement, as Greg said before, is communication. We hear people complain about the lake patrol, we hear people complain about the road patrol. If they're on the lake too much, they get complained about. If they're not on the lake enough, they get complained about. If they're not seen on the road enough, they get complained about. If they're just sitting somewhere on the road, they get complained about. So it is a thankless job, but one thing I want to mention before I get into my slide is, Greg, you said that one of the most important aspects are lake. I think one of our most important aspects, besides the people that live there, are the people that work there. So we need to protect them and give them the tools that they need to be able to operate effectively. And one of them simple tools is easy communication. These guys need to let you know what they're doing, and we need to talk to them. And we do that through the general manager. We do that through the security supervisor. And I think the better that we are communicating those efforts, I think the better our security team will be. And that goes along with Nate and his crew, and utilities crew, even the office crew. We need communication. And I'm not going to introduce Ben Pike again. We've seen his face before, so he's sitting back there behind the scene. Something new that came up is a community member at large. Last year, me and Bob Durbin talked about it. It was like, well, we're kind of both co-chairing this. We don't need a community member at large. And then we watched ECC do it with Ron Carr, Tracy McQuillan, and it worked great. They got to work together hand in hand. And it wasn't just always Tracy McQuillan doing something, and it wasn't always Ron Carr doing something. It was a group of three that were always doing something, and that included our building inspector. So I've adopted Tom Love's my community member at large, and he's sitting right back there, waving from. So I'm going to be leaning on him. We're going to be leaning on this guy, and then Ben Pike's going to be leaning on you. So thank you. These are our committee members that we have now, which we're going to vote in here shortly. Next slide. These are non-true numbers. These are last month's numbers. Ben decided to take vacation on me last week, and I was unable to get it, but the best thing on there is the next security meeting is August 13th at 7 p.m. at the Harmon Lodge. Next slide. Here's part of our improvement plan. This is where I'm going to use Ben Fight along with our member at large and each different lake patrol, road patrol, and the general rule enforcement will be members of our committee. They're going to work with Ben Fight. What can we provide? We're all members. What can we as members provide to this guy to make his job better? And that's what we're going to start leaning on. We produced a little document. I apologize for not getting that back to you. I just remembered I didn't email that to you. But all that is we're going to look at our strengths and our weaknesses and where we need improvement and how we can move forward with improvement. And we're going to be working on that. The next slide. That's the slide I wanted to see.
Thank you, Bill. Utilities, Kevin McCrae couldn't be here tonight, but Tom Baldozer is going to step up and walk through this report from their last meeting. Thank you, Tom. Okay, working all right? Very good. Good evening, everyone. As Greg mentioned, Kevin was unable to attend, so I will go over our items. We met on July 13th, our first meeting since March due to the COVID-19 virus. And I'll just quickly go through these. We were working on implementing and tracking Candlewood Lake Utilities committee devised and the state of Ohio community water and sewer system metrics. These will be metrics that we will use to review our system and find out where we are strong, where we are weak, and what we need to do to improve. Next item, approval, implementation, and development of a segregated financial reserve for water and sewer utilities. This is something that the committee has felt very strongly that it is in the best interest of Candlewood Lake Association members and everyone involved that we have a separate fund for large expenditures such as a water tower repainting or repairs or that type of thing. And these are recommendations that we have made to the board, and they are looking into it right now. We've also created a communication on value of sewer backflow preventers inside of your home. Some people may have them, some people may not. But it is a very good idea that if you do not have one, it's something to look into to provide for a little insurance in case of a backup. And if you have any other questions, please see us with the Utilities Committee. We'd be glad to help you. And we'll also be
be putting out some communications in the Candlewood Chronicle in the next couple of months regarding this. We have arranged for Armstrong Cable to provide options to Candlewood Lake Unit 4 members. They will be meeting with us at our next meeting in August, and hopefully they will come up with some potential options for those members of Unit 4. 80% completed on the chemical feed tank and line rehabilitation at the water treatment plant. The utility building roof has been repaired. We have 17 grinder stations that have been repaired, replaced, or installed 2020 year to date. We are working at the current time to determine the status of our consulting individual service contract. Okay, those are short term. Now, for long term, we have developed 50 distinct criteria for water and sewer asset conditions for integration into the Candlewood Lake Long Range Plan. That's something that we will be working with Lonnie McGee, our outside consultant, with Tracy Lilly, our utilities department leader, and our committee to develop those criteria. Another item that we've been working on recently is determining the return on investment for pressure tested and cleaning of the main 8-inch sewer lines that go basically around the perimeter of Candlewood Lake. We are also developing plans for making sure that every residential structure here in Candlewood Lake has an individual grinder. Currently, we still have a few that are shared, and we find that is potentially a problem, and we would like to see that we get everyone on an individual grinder. So we're working with our consultant on that. We are also assessing the potential return on investment for utilization of alternate energy sources, such as solar or wind energy. And our committee person, Luke, is working on that, and he's hopefully will have a report at our next meeting. One of the things that our committee had worked on over the winter was setting up a open house for the members to check out the facilities. Unfortunately, with the current state of affairs, we found that it would be in the best interest of everyone to delay that until sometime in 2021. We will continue to work with the board on that. At this point in time, our next meeting will be August 10th at 7 p.m. at Harmon Lodge. And if you have any questions or concerns, please, you are welcome to attend the meeting and provide feedback and constructive input. I'd like to thank you for your time, and Greg, back to you.
Thank you, Tom, for stepping in. And just for all the members, if you ever want to attend one of the utilities committee meetings, you'll learn more than you ever thought you could learn about water and sewer. Incredible detail that they go over, but I think you'd also walk out feeling better about that critical service that we provide that kind of flies under the radar. That could be a good thing in this case. So, all right, next slide. Now we're going to some ad hoc committees. First one is maintenance. Is Nate doing that? Or Jim?
Nate can do it.
Okay, I think Jim and then Nate.
Good evening, thank you. We met on July 8th, first meeting since the shutdown. Now, working. So we met on July 8th. Better? Okay, thanks. Some of the things we talked about were the front entrance sign. Hopefully it's going to be complete this month. Water, we're going to install water at the north dock. this year with the plan to install it at the south top next year. The RV floor plan we talked about, I think that's something that Unit 4 Special Committee is looking at. We talked about it at our meeting. And we also looked at suggesting ways to outsource some jobs to help maintenance, to keep up with the things that have to be done here. Our next meeting will be August 12th at 4 o'clock at Harmon Lodge. Nate, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I've got some slides up there. I can add to a lot of these things. Yeah.
You hear me? Go ahead and go to the next slide there. And a lot of these things I've got in mind. I know there's a lot of interest in the gate C, the gates in general, but gate C, I talked with our vendor. We're looking at gate C being replaced finally. We've got the concrete poured and everything. We hope that it'll be done by Thursday of this week. So I think everybody I know has been frustrating. It's taken a little while, but I think everybody's going to be pleased with it. It's got lights, steel. It's not a wooden gate; it's a steel gate. I think maybe it will set the bar for the other two old gates, which is gate F and D gate. I know I did read. There was some concern that we didn't have parts to repair. We do keep mechanical parts on hand. We do keep the wooden gates to replace. In fact, we did F gate 4 times, and we replaced that gate 4 times in that day period. Before security did a great job catching the people that were actually breaking it. So, but I think gate C is as frustrating as it is. I think it's going to be worth the wait. I think everybody will be pleased with it. The internet was a struggle at the Unit 4 gate, and I'm hoping that we can get with Armstrong and solve that. So that was the problem there. The front gate sign repair, it is in its final stages. You can see now we're putting on the metal mesh fan, and I was hoping to have a sample of the stone veneer that we're going to actually put on that, and it's going to really look good. We were going to pattern that initially after, to match the fountain, but I think building that front sign, let's just build our fountain, squeeze that in the budget next year, and let's make our fountain after our, after our gate, or after the front sign. So I think that's going to really add to our front entrance. I mean, that is the first thing that people see. The dam maintenance, we have cleaned the entire downstream slope from the spillway to the new culverts on Unit 40, County Road 40 on both sides. It looks really good. The things we need to do now is repair the spillway, just caulking and minor. We'll sound it also. And then I want to replace the fencing on the sluice gates. So those are 2 things that we'll be looking to complete definitely mid-August, maybe 1st of September. Go ahead. Roads. I want to work with our road committee. Ned would have his schedule permits. We're going to measure our roads and get those turned into the contractor so we can get our bids approved. And what we do is we pick the worst roads that we have. We get those done. I will say that there's a thought of putting asphalt in our front entrance, and maybe asphalt at the Harmon Lodge parking lot and the Harmon Lodge circle. And then, of course, we've got roads selected. I know that Lone Star's on the list, maybe Kingsbury, just wherever we go to measure, and we can get it into the budget. And then there's 2 in Unit 4 also. So we'll get together and we can go through those, get them measured, get them in, get them bid. Usually, typically, it'll be end of August, 1st of September, that time frame, we'll get it done. The next culvert scheduled, I'd actually like to see the one in Unit 4. west side of Constitution. It's in a green space, about 200 feet long, 12-inch culvert, and this would let the property owners tap into that, and we can drive that area. That's the one I want to see, and that is the one we got scheduled, probably complete by first week of September. We got the culvert, and then we'll move on to different culvert projects. Okay. Harmon Lodge, lower level kitchen renovation. We've been working through this. All the cabinets, all the countertops, everything will be taken out. We're gonna redo that entire kitchen. And the center island down there also. That needs replaced in the first place. So I'm currently working with the installer and Lowe's on that. So we're picking out the things and we're getting that put together. Hopefully, once again, by 1st of September, we should be able to at least have that scheduled for install. Pools are operational. We do struggle with a baby pool. There is a leak. It worked for 2 or 3 weeks. I'm hoping that the leak isn't in the plumbing that goes under the main pool. We haven't found the leak. We haven't given up. We'll work through that and updates go. And updates continue at Unit 4 Lodge. Once the floor is done, we'll be working in the kitchen area. Clean it up. I know I got to put a door in. Some things there that we'll continue to work through that. Dredging. All the coves on the east side of the lake would be like the Harmon Lodge Cove. We started at the North Dock area. We've done the Harmon Lodge Cove. We're in Small Cove right there at where Candlewood Trail and Candlewood Boulevard come together. We did the one on Galena Run. That was a great success. And then we'll go back to Unit 5, which is a very critical area. I mean, it's 12 to 14 inches of water there. So we'll be back there. We've probably taken out 12,000 yards to date out of the lake. And I know sometimes it's, what's 12,000 cubic yards? Well, I'll tell you, if you look at our deep water area, the material we've taken out of the lake would fill this room at least one and a half times. I welcome anybody to take a look at that. That kind of gives you an idea. And I think it's paying the dividends. I think the lake is clear. I really do. I think people can see the difference. And that's only at 12,000. So when we get up to the, our goal, 30,000, 40,000 cubic yards out there, what's it going to be? So that gives you an idea where we're at there. And I suppose that's it.
Thank you, Dave.
You bet.
Community events.
Okay. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody that participated in our 4th of July golf cart parade. We had over 75 vehicles. We had a great day, and got to thank Bob Durbin, who became our Grand Marshal, for all the work that he has done for Candlewood. Then our next meeting, and we'd like anybody to join us if possibly could, we're going to be at Harmon Lodge, and we're meeting on August 4th at 7 p.m. And we meet upstairs for that meeting. And then on August 15th, Armstrong is going to do a movie night for us, which is going to be outside of Harmon Lodge. They set up their screen outside. And the movie is going to be Playing with Fire. It's supposed to be a family comedy. And then we have a rain date set up for that of September 12th. We meet the first Tuesday of every month. So the next meeting then is going to be September 1st at Harmon Lodge. And then on September 5th, we still are planning our car show in the main office parking lot at 12 p.m. Now again, all of these events are kind of subject to change depending on what happens with our coronavirus. I talked to Armstrong today, and they're a go at this point, but it may be changed. And the car show too, that may be a go, but we may change it. Probably if we change it or close it, it'll be 2 weeks before the September 5th. Thank you.
want to say too, the golf cart parade was awesome. You guys did a great job, and the community did. And it might have been the biggest one ever. All I know is by the time we got lined up, I couldn't see the front of the line or the back of the line. I was just somewhere in the middle. That was a blast. What's next? Fishing and boat, are you ready?
This will be real quick. August 1st, we're going to have our youth adult bass tournament. Normally it's all by boat, either one youth and one adult in a boat, two youths in a boat as long as they can operate the boat. Or if you don't have any youths, two adults in a boat, make it a regular bass tournament. September 5th is our next regular bass tournament. And we did have to cancel our kids fishing tournament. Hopefully we can reschedule that. That's always a big one for the community. And we just couldn't cook hot dogs and we couldn't do what we normally do. So we decided we'll just go ahead and cancel that, or at least reschedule that. That's all for fishing and boating.
And is there anything on roads and culverts? Are you good? Okay. All right, last committee, is Deb Dittenberg here? Is Deb here? Okay, I just want to say something real quick about the landscape committee. And I have a new appreciation for this. All the people that go out into these various beds that we have around, it's all volunteers, every bit of it. I know some of them are here today, but as I found out today from my wife being out there, is there's bees and hornets on a 90-degree day laying in wait to ambush you when you go down to pick up a pull of weed or something, and they'll sting right through whatever blood you have, etc. So it's ultra hazardous duty. These people are amazing. I just want to say thanks for these people that have continued to do this. And I hope I don't miss anybody here, but Deb and Roger Partlow, you guys are here. Thank you so much. Tom Callahan, I've seen him at the main lodge numerous times, sweating bullets. Bill Porter at Will Blue Park. Nadine Umstead, you're here, right? Nadine, thank you. Linda Kelly, Ron and Bev Carr. Thank you very much. And Bev, Ruth Gossing, Pat Linder and Mark Lawrence work at Gate C consistently. Terry McCabe, Trish Atkins, Sheila Gallett. These are the newbies in Gate D. They got initiated with the hornet sting this morning. Rhonda Winnett, Gate F, Tracy McQuillan for all her past work. Really appreciate everything y'all are doing. You'll notice a huge difference after those folks are out there. Also want to give a shout out to Bob and Anita for their continued efforts on the main beach. And I drive by there sometimes early in the morning or on the boat, and you look out there and the beach is perfect, and there's colored chairs, they're spaced apart, and it looks like a resort, and it's awesome. And they're doing that all just volunteer work, so thank you to all that are doing that kind of stuff. And if anyone's interested, they're looking for recruits at Unit 4 at the RV Center entrance and the lodge landscape beds. Those are the two areas where we're in need of. Yes? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Good. Okay, I think that's it on the committees, and just to let you know, we've asked them to do PowerPoints and all that. And, the committees are such a huge part of our governance. It's all members getting involved. So it's important. I know it takes a little time, but it gives you an idea as to what is happening behind the scenes, all driven by members as part of our governance. So thank you all that participated in that. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Tim. You've got a piece of old business, I believe.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I just got to echo what Greg said with all the committees, and certainly Deb and her team. It's been phenomenal. Thank each and every one of you again for all the extra efforts. All you got to do is drive around and see exactly what hard work they're doing. So thank you all very much. If you could turn to old business, as far as the board goes, with the teleconference call. If you're not aware, we had a call with the previous board on March 23rd. So the previous board of the folks that are here was Lori and Chris and Jonathan, Greg and Bill, right? I have everybody? And the reason I'm framing it that way is because the teleconference, Daryl brought it up at the last board meeting, if you were here, which rightfully so, we needed to revisit how that teleconference, and when you look at our bylaws, it's really information sharing. And I can tell you from the initial set when we had the conference call was more trying to do business as normal. But then, fortunately, George and Dan and I kind of talked through it, and then again with Daryl and George here recently talking through it, and Greg's help and certainly other board members, we wanted to ensure that this was completed the right way. And the right way at this point, as we've done a lot of research and investigation, is that the information teleconference call, there were housekeeping items, and I'm just going to run through those real quick. So this was March 23rd, so remember we were right before the annual meeting. We actually approved the data record of April 16th. We actually approved Shannon Carroll as the nominating chair. We approved and adopted assembly and voting guidelines for the 2020 annual membership balloting. We approved to initiate a vote of the membership that we sent out to the membership vote in regards to payment booklets. And then the one emergency motion was we approved an extra $5,000 to complete the tornado siren. When we initially did the bid, it came in at 20, and after that we found out that the pole had to be replaced in addition to the siren. And they approved that. So those were kind of all housekeeping items. And we framed that under emergency motions presented and will be ratified at the next regular meeting. So those were done. So these were the ones that were sent back to the respective committees. So on that teleconference, we talked about a fine of $250 will be implemented for any member or renter tenant not complying with the rental policy effective immediately. Again, these were sent back to the respective committees. A motion was made and rescinded from ECC to amend CWL ECC building codes as outlined, and requirement to install Unit 5 and 6 manufacturing homes parallel to the road. We sent that one back. A motion was made and approved by the bylaw committee to request a vote of the membership to amend rental guidelines of the Candlewood Lake bylaws. A motion was made and approved for the ECC fee schedule. If you remember, we approved that at the last board meeting. So it went back to the ECC committee. Ron and his team and that committee did a great job and brought it back, and we voted on it last board meeting. And then the last one was a motion was made and approved to require a rental application fee in the amount of $125 for all the new renter applications at the meeting. All those were sent back. So when we talk through exactly what we should, with this being old business, being information teleconference call, kind of a whole new arena for us from a legal perspective, and talking through with the members that were on that call. Really, the right thing to do is have those members tonight vote simply to approve those minutes. And Greg, I'll turn it back over to you then.
All right, so the motion is to approve the minutes of the March 23rd, 2020 board teleconference as presented. Do we have a motion? Bill, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Tim. Move on to new business, and just to preface, the first 6 motions are kind of procedural in nature. These were actions taken during kind of the COVID, if you will. They're actions that already occurred. We're just cleaning up for our bylaws to address those tonight, to officially put them in the books, if you will, so kind of procedural. So the first one is a motion to approve Thursday, April 16th, 2020 at 4 p.m. as the date of record for changes to bylaws, articles of incorporation, and deed restrictions. Do I have a motion? Chris? Second? Jonathan? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, and the next few are the same thing. They're about the annual meeting, and we had to do that without an actual physical annual meeting. The second one is a motion to approve Thursday, April 16th at 4 p.m. as the deadline for interested members in good standing to file their application for the election to the Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion? Jim? Second? Chris, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion 3, a motion to approve Shannon Carroll as the nominating chair and signatory for the 2020 Board of Trustee applications. Do I have hear a motion? Lori? Bill, second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you. And number 4 is a motion to approve and adopt assembly and voting guidelines for the 2020 annual meeting balloting. And there's 2 parts: ballots by mail and drop off in the mailbox at the association office. Ballots must be received by Friday, May 15th at 4 p.m. No ballots will be accepted at the live meeting. And part B is the association will make every effort to host a live annual meeting. Do I have a motion? Chris? Second? Thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question on that.
Sure.
Bylaws. That is not acceptable Friday, May 4th, or May 15th to 4 p.m. We change that to the day of.
For the ballots received?
Yeah.
So the day of?
We did receive them
That was Saturday, May 16th? Is everybody good with that change? Is there a time, Ned?
I think it said 1 p.m., but I don't think we want it that long because I think it was 10.
10 a.m. Okay, Saturday, May 16th, 10 a.m. Okay, we're good with that change. Chris and Jonathan, you guys good? Okay. Any other discussion? Yes.
Just a thought, if you change the date in there, some ballots came in after that date. They were destroyed. They were not counted. So I just want to make sure that you understand if you change the date now, retroactively, there were ballots that came in after that, when it was past the date, but still weren't counted. So I would be really careful about that. We didn't count those ballots. Yeah, and if you want to make a change for the future, so we can accept them later, no problem. But I hate to go back and mess with what's already happened.
Okay, yeah, George is suggesting we leave it as is. In other words, that was the intention. The original intention was Friday, May 15th at 4 p.m. That's what was set out. And he's suggesting we leave that at that particular time.
So George, you're saying there were votes that came in after the 15th or after the 16th?
After the 15th.
After the 15th that we did not count because they came in after?
Yeah, votes that came in after the date that was passed.
Which was the 15th at
Right. Yeah, we're
4
not
p.m.?
counting.
Yeah, that came in after the date on here, the 15th at 4 p.m. that we did not count.
Correct.
So if we changed it to the 16th at 10 a.m., then we have an issue with those votes
There
that we
might have
didn't
been
count.
votes that we might have counted. The problem with it is that the mail, we did 15th at 4 p.m. because the mail came in that day. The next day was, what day of the week was it? That was a Saturday. The mail didn't come to the office on Saturday, and that came on Monday. So maybe we don't know.
Got it.
a real loose end that I mean,
Yep, nope, I agree. I think it needs to stay as it was, Greg. Would be my recommendation.
So we're back to the Friday, May 15th at 4 p.m. Chris, Jonathan?
Point of order, there was a motion, so we need to vote on that motion, and then we can go back. So we need to vote on Ned's amendment, and then we can go back.
All right, we can do that. So, with respect to Ned's amendment, we've still got a first move and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Aye. All right, so we not do the reading of the entire motion again. You guys okay with that? And the dates will go back to Friday, May 15th at 4 p.m. And do we have a first or a move on that? Chris and Jonathan. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Number 5, a motion to initiate a vote of the membership on the question outlined in document 3.23.20.2, payment booklets by request only, edits to deed restriction P605.03, otherwise the statement from the member's bank is his/her receipt. And first of all, let's get a, do we have a motion? Charlie? Second? Is there a second? Jim? And this is really the, with the 90% people on the ACH, the payment booklets were kind of just outdated. That's kind of what generated this with all the ACH payments that we have. So we've got a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Thank you. And the last one that's sort of procedural, Tim mentioned this one, a motion to authorize the general manager to spend $25,000 in order to replace the Candlewood Lake tornado siren, and the notation that this was a $5,000 increase over the budgeted amount of $20,000. And of course, this has been done. Do we have a motion? And second? Bill? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we have standing committees on the screen, do you know? In their packet? Okay.
All right. I have 2 additions for bylaws.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me find it. Okay. Lori, what are your bylaw additions?
Okay, Glenn Philka
Uh,
and Jack.
What's the first name again?
Glenn,
G-L-E-N or double N?
double N,
Double N. And what's the other?
Jack Doubt,
How do you spell the last?
D-A-U-P.
Okay.
Correction on mine too.
Okay, Bill.
Remove Deb Bartlett, that was a mistake.
Okay. Is that it?
For security, yes.
Okay. Any other changes from committee heads from what's in your packet? And just for the members, this is just approving a roster of all the board committees that we have. Jonathan, Ned, you guys okay with Lake and Silt?
We submitted the names, but this is different.
Yeah, this is the other thing about it.
So I can just go through the new list. These are just people that have expressed interest. So it's Mike Hoffman, Jeff Armisen.
Hold on. Hoffman? Jeff? Okay, they're on the list. Gotcha.
Yeah, Shannon Finn.
Any other changes?
Yeah, it's Lance Mayberry,
Okay,
Brandon Dodrell,
okay,
Andy Colella,
okay.
Glenn Reed, and Steve McCallum.
And are these on it? And what about the Mike Hoffman?
Correct.
He's on there, okay. And Jeff is on there, okay.
Hey, Jonathan, I think you've got two packets. One of them that we delivered on Friday and the other one that you sent to correction today.
Okay.
So the packet that was sitting in front of you,
This might not be the updated packet.
yeah.
Okay.
So the one that we set on your desk, I think you're looking at the one we put them in.
Okay, no, that's perfect. And then-
Okay. Yeah, just double check it if you would to make sure we've got on the packet that we put on your desk tonight.
No, that's fine. And then there's some other members listed here as well. If they have interest, that's fine. But,
Why don't we, let me just suggest something. Why don't we approve the others if you want to do Lake and Silt next meeting?
as long as we can still have, I guess, the meeting that's scheduled for the 3rd.
You can.
And then we can add additional members.
You can.
They plan to continue the next meeting, that's fine.
However you want to handle it, just
That's
let me
fine.
know. So you want to wait to do the full approval? Or you want to approve the ones you mentioned?
Yeah, I think we can approve the ones we mentioned tonight, and then we could do an addendum to the list for the next meeting.
Yeah, you can add at any time.
Yeah, this is the new ones, the right list. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any other changes from the board or committee heads? Okay, so the motion will be to request to approve the Candlewood Lake Standing Committees as modified here in the last few minutes. Is there a motion? Moved. Charlie? Bill, second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. And ad hoc committees. You have a list as well there, maintenance, pool, roads, culverts, unit 4, landscape. Anybody have any questions or changes to what's in front of you there? Okay, is there a motion, request to approve Candlewood Lake ad hoc committees as in Exhibit C? Charlie? Second? Chris? Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Same sign. That was Chris? No, Charlie. Charlie, second by Chris. You're welcome. Okay, thank you. All right, motion number 9. We're racing through these now. Motion to authorize the general manager to sign as the Candlewood Lake agent for HOA liens. And we'll get, Tim, you're going to talk on that one in a minute. Okay. Do I hear a motion before we get into discussion?
Also moved.
Lori? Second? All right, discussion. Tim, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. You know, when we talked about the abandoned property process earlier, this was a key element to continue to expedite the process of this. So what we're doing is allowing the general manager to sign the HOA lien so we can turn quicker than what the process was. So all we're asking is to help us keep the process moving in a timely manner.
Charlie?
Does this increase our liability at all in any way?
Increase the liability, Charlie, in regards to,
Well, I don't know, I guess the GM could the GM sign other liens that might get us in trouble or something, I don't know.
no, just HOA liens is what it's framed as. Yeah, I wouldn't add any more or less to it than the HOA.
I agree. Any other discussion? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Same sign. Thank you. Okay, the last motion, number 10. And again, Tim, are you going to talk on this one after we get it on the floor? Okay. This motion is to authorize a budget of $35,000 to clean up and foreclosure, words wrong there, of properties in Candlewood Lake that are either written off or considered abandoned. Charlie? Is there a second? Chris? Tim, you want to take away the explanation?
Thanks, Greg. So when you look at the total process, we have it broken down by a recording fee for an HOA lien is $68, a pre-foreclosure title work $250, a total legal fee for foreclosure $1,500, court costs $300, publication $900, PI service if needed is $75. And when you look at the total per price, it comes out to, again, we've got 10 properties earmarked at this point in time. Again, 7 of them are in Unit 4, 3 of them are in Unit 5 and 6, and the average cost per property is $3,500. So for the 10 of them, that's where the $35,000 comes in. And we did not have that in our budget this year, and that's why we're requesting to continue to move ahead with these abandoned properties. Any questions?
Tim, if you could talk a little bit about then, once we get them back, how it's $35,000 unbudgeted now, but this
Thanks,
comes
Chris.
back as more, which
Absolutely.
is the reason I'm actually sponsoring this.
Yeah, I appreciate the return on investment when you think about it, as far as the property value, it's almost 2 to 1. So when we talk about the amount of value for the 10 lots, the value of those, and a lot of them we already have folks that want to purchase these, is a total of about $70,000. So the return on investment is about 2 for 1. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks. So the net of this, guys, is we're gonna double the money that we spend, and we're gonna clean up Candlewood.
And the assessments and the taxes for
The assessments
for
going
our
forward
family.
once we, yeah, exactly. This is all business.
Yeah, it's a win-win-win.
Any other discussion? Good. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. No other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Is there any other business? We go to number.
I have one motion, Greg, I'd like to make. Came out of the ECC. I don't think it made it to the executive committee. It's just cleaned up the one last motion, and it reads, all new dwellings placed on lots in units 5 and 6 must be oriented parallel to the road. Any lot or lots, including single lots that may be physically unable to meet parallel requirement, may be presented to the ECC committee for consideration of a variance from the parallel building regulation. That was something that was sent back to the committee. the committee revised and wanted to send back to the board. So this was the last one that was sitting on the ECC committee's list, and we wanted to get that voted on to move forward.
Can you read that slowly again?
I can. So the motion I want to make, so I'm making the motion, all new dwellings placed on lots in units 5 and 6 must be oriented parallel to the road. Any lot or lots, including single lots, that may be physically unable to meet the parallel requirement, meaning the structure would fit parallel to the road due to the setbacks, may be presented to the ECC committee for consideration of a variance from the parallel building regulation. So essentially what it means is Candlewood has already adopted the philosophy that in 5 and 6 that they're not going to sell any single lots. And the intent is to orient the homes parallel to the road versus perpendicular, so that the front face of the home faces the road. And so this just formalizes that in the ECC codes of compliance.
Does it adequately grandfather in, though, the people that
So
purchased a single lot only and want to put something up now?
So those are, so there's like, I think the exposure to that is like 60-some property owners, if I'm correct. I think Ron Carr did the research there. And so that's why the provision's in there. Basically, if a property owner, which we're pursuing the single property owners now to see if there's any possibility for contiguous lots.
Right.
But for the 60 single property owners, of which some may already be built, some may not, they would just apply for the variance in the ECC. So when they submitted for the permit to place their house, there would be a variance granted by the ECC in that case, if there was no other option. But the intent is, like, say for example, a single property owner were to apply for the permit to place the home, the ECC would then have the ability to try to connect contiguous lots, for example. Like, say for example, there was a contiguous lot that was Candlewood owned, we would then try to connect that property owner with the second lot so that they could then place their home parallel to the road.
Okay. Yeah, my only issue is that applying for the variance for somebody that's grandfathered in, is that an automatic variance, is what you're saying?
More than likely, yes, if they were
I
grandfathered.
mean, I think it would have to be.
Yes.
George, are you okay with that?
Well, I mean, I'm making the motion, we need a second, and then we can discuss.
Darrell, if I recall the conversation, I think this motion is directed only at Candlewood-owned lots and any lots being brought forward. So if anybody actually owns a lot right now, it's a single lot, this motion was not to apply to them.
That is correct, yeah, only moving forward.
Right, and I don't recall them having to come and ask for variance, frankly. I think it was just, we're just going to grandfather everybody in. That was the way I understood it. But exactly what you're saying, CW owned lots and anything forward, everybody else is grandfathered in if they have a single lot.
Correct.
Right, okay. All right?
All right, so right now we don't have a move. Does someone want to move that motion?
No, I moved.
You moved?
We need a second.
I'll second.
Is that Charlie?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
It didn't, Darrell, I'm for this, but I need to understand, it didn't sound like existing owners of a single lot, they should have the capability to still build without having to acquire a set. They should be automatically grandfathered in, and it sounded to me like they're gonna have to apply for a variance. Is that, I just wanna make sure I'm understanding it right.
So when they apply for the permit, if it's a single, like, we're gonna approach all single lot owners that aren't developing anyways, okay, to try to connect those property owners with additional property. But to George's point, it's everything moving forward. So this doesn't affect the existing property owners if they haven't put a home on that lot. So of the 60, There may be ones that have already put their home on the lot, which would not apply.
But it doesn't say that. It says that if you cannot do it parallel, that you have to apply for a variance. So an application would state that, or mean that you have to be approved, like there's another approval process, and I think your wording needs to state that, I mean, this is just, this is discussion, right? This is just my
Just need to remove the variance verbiage.
What's that?
Remove the variance verbiage for existing lot owners.
Yeah, it somehow needs to say for new.
I would entertain amendment, leaving, all property owners prior to, July 25th, 2020 would be grandfathered. I would entertain that, that's fine. So if you want to move for that, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, other than that, then I think we're doing the intent of your motion, which is all new things going forward. We do want them, front facing the road. But we shouldn't be telling people that already have purchased lots that they can't. So I think if you add, how do we do this? I would recommend adding that for anybody that owns, their name's on the deed, anybody that owns their property before whatever the date is today, July 20-something, they're grandfathered in.
Can you reread that motion as it should be?
Yep.
Yeah, with that change.
Correct. Okay. So hopefully the last time, maybe not. All new dwellings placed on lots in units 5 and 6 must be oriented parallel to the road. Any lot or lots, including single lots that may be physically unable to meet the parallel requirement, may be presented to the ECC committee for consideration of a variance from the parallel building regulation. All property owners prior to July 27th, 2020 will be grandfathered and are excluded from this ECC regulation.
Good? Okay, so Charlie, you good with your second still?
Yes.
And with the amendment? All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by
Yeah,
saying aye.
one in the back.
You have one in the back?
So what we're voting on is an ECC regulation that states that all homes in 5 and 6 in the future will be oriented parallel to the road. It's specifically about the placement of the homes in 5 and 6. So that's what we're voting on here. There's been previous regulations that talk about single lots, double lots, Candlewood owned lots, things like that. But what we're talking about specifically here is to orient the homes parallel to the road. It's just a building code.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Thank you. Daryl, if Cheryl missed anything there on the wording, if you can provide that to her after.
Yeah, 10-4.
Okay. All right, if there's no other business, we'll go ahead into member participation. And first up here, I've got Deb and Glenn to go. Deb and Glenn. If you can come up to the microphone there, please. Deb. This is Unit
281.
281.
I know in our last meeting, we talked about being able to fine on the lake, and you were going to be meeting and have a special meeting. Did that get passed, where we can now give fines for people? So that's all been taken care of.
It's all taken care of.
We love you.
Thank you. Sandy? You're on the list, right?
Well, I was, and then I said no, because there was supposed to be some
please?
You are on the list. You have initials by yes.
Okay, thank you. Am I up?
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, good evening. I'll try to make this brief. My name is Sandy Petty, units 5, lot 97. First, I would like to know if there's going to be dumpster days this year, even though we're not having yard sales. Has that been decided, or does anybody know?
Okay. Is there a second opportunity? The first one was canceled with what's going on here, the one that's near term here.
Yeah, and the dumpster in maintenance is still available.
Oh, it's in maintenance?
It's been there ever since we took them off the south and north dock, and we communicated that when we took them off the south and north dock.
Oh,
That dumpster is still in maintenance. We've added another one to the office.
oh, we can throw junk in there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know we were allowed to throw junk in.
Again, metal, we've put out in the Chronicle, if you're talking any type of metal, Kelly and Kim Cox.
Okay.
And we can put that out in the Chronicle again. So if anybody has any metal, any appliances, when you say junk, any kind of metal, Sandy, can go to Kelly and Kim Cox.
Okay.
As far as any other types of throwaway types of material, that is available in maintenance still.
Okay, thank you.
A large dumpster. Thank
I've been
you.
holding stuff for a long time.
Yeah, thank
All
you,
right,
Sandy.
I appreciate that. I would also like a clarification, please, on the voting results about banning commercial logging due to the inaccurate information previously.
And that's going out in the Chronicle as far as a clarification. We talked about that, so it'll spell out exactly what those results were for the whole membership to see.
Yeah, and I'll just add that what Sandy's referring to is the first Chronicle that came out after the annual meeting sort of had an abbreviated description of the actual vote, and it would lead one to believe that logging was actually approved versus not approved. So we'll be publishing that clarification in the next Chronicle, and I'm announcing it here tonight. The vote was actually to ban the logging and require a member vote ahead of time to do anything of that nature.
And that was approved.
And that was approved.
Thank you. Okay,
You
there's
got
a
it.
clarification. The next, try to make this brief, there's going to be some type of process for voters' rights and mailings in the future because people not receiving their votes in a timely manner, which brings me up, you just approved that we have to have the votes in by a certain time, but we also need to have a date that they must be sent out by. So people in Florida can get them in time to get them mailed back in time, which happened this year.
Right.
People did not get their ballots. There was a lot of problems with it. I personally don't see why we need to send off our ballots to Perrysburg or anywhere else when we have a mailing to the association office. So there's a lot of details. You said that the office is going to take care of that?
We're going to do a post-election review, if you will. I did call it a post-mortem, that's a bad phrase, but we're going to do our own review before the next annual meeting
And you
to
say,
see how we can improve.
very good. And who would be doing that, Greg? Are you included in that, sir?
Well, the office would do it with oversight,
And oversight comes from where?
like myself.
Very good. Can I ask that a board member be involved in that with you, or
Yeah,
in the
I'll-
process is Ned as
Yeah,
a
I'll-
representative?
I'll pull in somebody who I choose to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we will definitely do that.
Great. I greatly appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I would also like to know when our ravines on Atlantic Drive, literally in my backyard, I have to look at. When are we getting that cleaned up? Because it was in a Candlewood Lake reclamation that was produced on September 10th of 2019. I still have a tree I have to look at every day, and it's still trash, and there's a lot of sediment and junk going into our lake because of it.
Gotcha.
Because the brush dams were not properly placed.
Okay.
Thanks, Sandy.
Certainly.
Nate, I don't know if you want to give an update. When we talked about the sediment ponds, Sandy, and we talked about the reclamation project, the recommendation was 12 to 18 months to let everything settle. And as far as the sediment ponds, we looked at a couple different opportunities. Unfortunately, this last winter, we did not have the freeze that we thought we would have. But Nate, is there any update that?
Yes,
you-
the sediment pond is,
Here, you
actually,
gotta
we have
come
two
up.
culverts.
Unless you come up.
Yeah, we have two culverts ahead of that, but the sediment pond is still scheduled. 50 yards north of the one-lane bridge. Now, we're gonna look at it, we don't know whether it's gonna be one or two, but we have to make sure we got a road to maintain it, but the sediment pond is still there. And that's probably we got two culverts to do, and then we've got that on
Okay.
schedule for it.
I understand how important the sediment ponds are, but I'm particularly interested.
And the tree tops, I understand.
Yeah, all the trash that's just been thrown in there that's just going downstream.
Right.
That's what I'm addressing at this point in time. Do you have any plans? I was told months ago that
Well-
things were going to be developed, and I have heard not one word.
We've got the roads back there, but it is gonna be a process.
Okay, but you are aware of it,
We
Nate?
are aware, yes.
And it's somewhere in the agenda?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you very much.
We'll get together and
Oh.
we can go through.
Wow, I would greatly appreciate that, Nate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandy. Nate, appreciate it. Next one is Jason Pohl, is it? Jason? Unit 7, Lot 38.
Yes, Unit 7, Lot 38.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jason Bull, first time presenter up here, long time resident. I just wanted to do a little shout out, right? Because we need a little bit more positivity around here. And I wanted to thank Tim. I want to thank Nate. I want to thank the prior board that got the dredging program going. It used to be a party trick when I had people over to the house. I live in a little cove kind of between St. Michael Court and Galleon Court, kind of that little cove that people like to bass fish. You all like to bass fish. I mean, you kind of know that cove because you like to creep in there and catch some big ones. I need someone to teach me how to do that, by the way, because I can't catch those. But party trick. If you jam a stick at the end of our cove, it would release this gas that I could light on fire in our cove on the wire. And it has done that for like the last 5 years. And it got to the point where it's completely unusable. And, you know, I've got 2 kids that keep playing it. And it was just amazing to see the difference. Our cove just got finished last week. And it is clear, it's beautiful. You can just tell the difference, you know, kind of all the way around. This protects our property values. It actually helps increase them. We mentioned this, that the physical asset, the most important one we have, is the lake. And without it, all of our property values go down as the lake degrades. We don't have algae bloom issues. The dredging assists with that. It assists with some safety concerns as well. I think, you know, I hear that this is a 5-year program. I don't know if that's true or not, but I sure hope it's an ongoing program and not just a 5-year program, because all these little coves, especially where there's big culverts that kind of drain right into it, plus stuff that kind of floats in the other direction, they get bombarded 2 different ways. And this stuff does fill up over time. I've lived here over 11 years, and this is the first time this cove has been taken care of and dredged, and it was literally completely useless. And I just think anytime we can set water on fire, we should be doing something about it. And so I hope that we can continue to do that. And so I'm, you know, representing all those that are in our cove. Some of them wanted to be here tonight, a couple of them had boat issues and couldn't be. But long story short, I just thank the prior board that launched this, Tim for getting it going, Nate and his team for getting it done, and you know, just thank you very much. Really great job, everybody.
Thank you, Jason. Shirley Harrison, 471.
Thank you.
called back about a half hour later, and he said, well, my boss said he registered a black pickup today. Now, how many black pickups are there around? So we let it go. We called Bill, told him what was going on. Sunday, we were back down to South Dock. There's that same black pickup, boat out in the water, no sticker of any kind on it. If they registered him, why wouldn't he have had a sticker on his pickup? Right beside his pickup was a utility truck, had a company name on it, with a trailer behind it, boat out in the lake, no sticker, no visitor pass, no anything. My husband was out fishing a few days ago, and a boat stopped him, and the people on the boat said, is this a private lake? And he said, yes, it is. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know that. We will leave. We have a major problem. We have people coming in and out of all the open gates freely, no stickers, don't belong there, just having their way with everything. Candlewood has no security, as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. Sometimes when they respond, there's no action. And if there is action, you don't know it. We have a camper that was pulled in Sunday to the RV section in the green space. And he is beside people that he knows, but he's in the green space running a generator, and he looks like he's set up for the rest of the summer. We called security, and I realize they haven't had time to do much. But the people that he pulled in beside us are new owners. And I went into the website last night to see what the policies are to make sure that I'm remembering right. We used to put in the Candlewood handbook, whenever there was a revision, the date of the revision. That's not there anymore. So I'm looking at it, and it used to be that you could have a guest camper on your lot for a minimum of 2 weeks. That's not there anymore. It says 1 RV, 1 boat, 1 boat trailer, 1 utility trailer per lot or contiguous lot. We have 3 units out there that have 2 RVs on it, not counting the one that just came in Sunday. I'm not sure whose responsibility it is to watch that. But people are just doing whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. We have the rustic campground, which is closed, and I understand we're looking at that to see what the best option is to do with that, which is fine. But we have a shower house on that campground that has electric to it, has lights to it, and behind the shower house we have a squatter. Nothing's being done about it. It's an old camper, it's behind the shower house where you can't see it from the road, but I'm sure that people have seen it, because people have driven back around there, they go back through there to mow. And it's not an empty camper because the air conditioning runs on it. And I've heard, I can't verify this, but I've heard they broke out the window of the shower house so they could get their electricity so that they could run their camper.
I think President Security addressed that.
So those folks have been contacted.
They have till August 1st is what. And they have till August 1st, Shirley.
Okay,
The power's been turned off, the electric's been turned off.
okay.
So they have till this Friday, 7:30. They said it was the last day, but they have been communicated that that is a drop dead date.
Okay. The last thing I had is, in these meetings, I keep hearing people talk about the current, Candlewood current. I don't know what that is, and I can't find it anywhere.
Candlewood Current is just a mid-month drop-in mail, as member-focused things. We haven't seen it before. It's not the Chronicle. It's something in between, around mid-month. Doesn't cost very much at all to produce. We're allowed to drop it in the mailboxes. And it's like a member-focused publication for things that our members contribute, articles, things like that. So it's just getting started.
So are you dropping it in the U.S. Post Office mailbox?
No, it's just dropped in. Am I correct, Tim, on that? It's dropped into the Candlewood boxes and then emailed? Is that right?
Dropped into the USPS, Candlewood Lake boxes, at a bulk rate.
And then emailed?
And then we email it out also. Are you on our email list?
Yes, I am, but I've never received it.
Okay.
And I don't receive it at my Candlewood address at Unit 4 either.
We will email you the last one. Shirley.
Yeah, we should be good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Okay, next, Rich and Sarah McCluskey. Did they leave? They leave, okay. And then, last one, Scott Armstrong.
I don't want to be a dead horse, but I just want to support what Shirley's saying and maybe add one thing to that with the security. There's trailers in the Unit 4 section that don't even have the stickers. You know, we have stickers just like the cars and the boats and that. There's trailers in there that don't have the stickers. There's one trailer in particular that's been there for years, and it comes and goes at will, but it has no sticker, it never has. And I realize there's a lot of new ones in there this year. There's probably 15 new ones. And some of those don't have stickers, so we understand that. They just haven't been able to get their sticker yet. But there are other ones that don't have stickers. But, yeah, and those new members may not know that they have to get a sticker, so somehow we need to educate them. But I agree with what Shirley's saying. Security just is not, in our opinion, responding to some of these things. And the multiple trailers just isn't right, folks. How would you like somebody next to you in your house come in and put up temporary tenants, trailers? There's like generators. It's just a mess. Security needs to get after that.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's the list of participation.
Sign up.
Yes, go ahead.
Get out name, unit one.
On board, especially new members who I had no idea who you were. I realize that this is probably kind of a small.
Can we grab your name, unit,
I'm sorry,
please?
I forgot. My name is Eric Hill. That's E-R-I-K. H-I-double-L. Unit 11, Rock 52.
Thank you.
I realize this is kind of a small issue, but nonetheless, it's something that's really been festering with me the last few months, is what's going on with the Chronicle and our website. I live 100 miles away. I'm not a full-time resident. And since the end of last year, practically, we've had practically no way of staying on top of what's going on around here because of the website. The Chronicle ended in December. There's been nothing in there. Can't get any information. I realize we're dealing with a pandemic right now, and
You know, the bottom line for me is if we've got a website, that should be the first repository of information. And what I've seen of the new and improved Chronicle, I'm not impressed at all. If we're going to have a website, that's where the information should go first for people like myself who are not full-time residents. We don't even have a mailbox here. I come up sometimes for 2 days at a time. Sometimes I'm here for 10 days at a time. But with our diminished office hours and, you know, everything else that's going on, you know, I had no idea who won the board elections. I had no idea what was going on with that tree cutting thing. I had no idea my good friend Tim was leading this, which grieves me deeply. I didn't know. And
We need to definitely check both your mailing address and your email address because those publications have gone out since the first of the year.
We can't have the Chronicle mailed to us at home.
But it should be emailed to you.
That's not true. You call the office, you can request it being mailed to your house, whatever your address on record is.
Well, I asked, that's not correct, because I went to the office just a few days ago and I was told point blank, no. It could be put in your Candlewood box.
No, that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, Eric, why don't you talk to Tim after the meeting? We'll get that squared away because we should be getting those to you. And we should have your email address, because we do supplement those with email as well as, you know, dropping
Are you talking about
mail.
the Chronicle?
Yeah. The current.
Yeah, Eric, we can absolutely email you the Chronicle. We can mail it to you directly to your home. It doesn't have to be just here, so anybody that wants it emailed.
But why, I mean, if we had the Chronicle online on the website, why is that not being maintained?
And that's part of what I covered earlier. You're absolutely right. It has to be maintained. And I went through kind of a forecast for the website. And it does have to be maintained with the Chronicle, with the minutes. We're going to keep 6 months worth of information available to members. And you need it now more than ever, Eric. I agree 100%.
It's just been very, very frustrating, you know, with diminished office hours. And again, I imagine most everybody that's in here right now is probably a full-time resident. I'm not. Maybe someday, but not now. But I really, really try hard to stay on top of what's going on here. And for the last 5 months, it's been damn near impossible. So,
Thank you, Eric.
thank you.
Eric, thank you.
If there's no more, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. One more, Deb?
Also, some of the people that aren't there all the time, they keep asking me if we could post on our gates a week ahead we're having meetings, they would stay open until the Monday. And especially since now we're getting a Chronicle, we can't get on the website right now, they can't find anything about going on. And I just think that, and I've had 7 people say, you know, they get posted on a Sunday night, and then it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever. And if it could just get posted, you know, like they said, if they would know Friday when they come in, they would be more than glad to stay. And I think until we get the website up and running, that might be a good thing to do so that they know that we're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Deb. All right. There's nothing else. In lieu of adjourning, we're going to go to a short executive session, board only, on a legal matter. We've got a place carved out around the corner there. We will do that. Thank you all very much for coming tonight.
Good job.
He's supposed to correct
Question, Nick. I'm in a car and I live here, been here for 26 years. I don't know whether you guys supply your own conduits for the contractors or not, tile, caulk, culverts, all that stuff. I gave a quote to Tim probably a year ago. He came back to me and said, your price is everybody people buy